Hello again, I'm Rodney Reynolds and welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at the Seventeam 1200W Modular Power Supply. What's included is the user's manual, modular cables, a bag for the modular cables, power cord, screws for mounting the power supply in the case, and the power supply. Seventeam manufactures all types of power supplies ranging from 150 watts for server and workstation applications to 1200 watts for power users. I'm looking at the 1200 watt model, which is more than enough power for any hardcore gaming rig. Now, how is this wattage determined? Well, to understand that, you need to know what rails are. Rails are basically well-regulated transformers which convert domestic current into the voltages that your computer system can use, and there are essentially two different rails, the 3.3/5 volt rail and the 12 volt rail. In this particular case, the approximate maximum peak output of the 3.3/5 volt rail is 250 watts and the 12 volt is 1080 watts, which is essentially how the wattage of this power supply is determined. The 3.3/5 volt rail is responsible for the motherboard, memory, PCI cards, and so on, while the 12 volt rail is responsible for the hard drives, optical drives, fans, CPU, video cards, etc. Also, some might be interested to know the peak amps on each rail. The plus 3.3 volt and the plus 5 volt rails are both 40 amps each. This power supply has 4 plus 12 volt rails. The first 3 are 20 amps each, and the last is 30 amps. There are a couple of important things to remember when selecting a power supply. The first is wattage. Determine how much wattage you are going to require by the amount of hardware you will be installing. Generally speaking, a medium to high-end gaming rig would require a 500 to 700 watt power supply. If, however, you are going hardcore and have a multiple video card setup with lots of other hardware, select a power supply that's above 800 watts. Second, it should be at or above 80% efficient at typical load. The efficiency of this power supply is rated above 80% at full load. Third, it should meet the latest ATX and other current standards, environmental directives, overvoltage, undervoltage, and other protections. This power supply meets all current standards. Fourth, I'd recommend choosing a power supply that has APFC. APFC, or active power factor correction, is something that also assists the power supply in being more efficient and therefore stable under load. APFC basically reduces total harmonics, corrects input voltage, and it allows for full input voltage range. Thankfully, this power supply has APFC. Finally, get a power supply that has enough leads for your setup. Let's have a closer look at this power supply. The housing is steel and they include a very quiet 135mm fan which is recessed, but this power supply is very long, so it might not fit in some smaller mid-tower cases. Also note that it has built-in STNC fan control, which stands for Smart Thermal Noise Control, meaning the more load on the power supply, the faster the fan spins. The many ventilation holes and this very large fan ensures maximum cooling, so the power supply will remain cool in almost any environment. Remember though that 1200 watts of continuous power output must not exceed 50 degrees Celsius. Here's the power cable connection and the power switch. This power supply has lots of leads and they are all modular. It's worth noting that many power supplies might claim to be modular, but in most cases the main motherboard leads are hardwired to the power supply. That's not the case here though. This power supply is completely modular. The modular design makes connecting and disconnecting leads a snap. It also means that you only need to use the leads required for your particular setup. Finally, have a listen to this power supply. This is one amazing power supply. Why? Well, first of all, it has reliable quality power, and it is very efficient as well as quiet, and the build quality is exceptional. Also, it's modular. This is one of the first 1200 watt power supplies that is completely and entirely modular. I absolutely love this power supply. If you're in the market for a high wattage power supply, be sure to check this power supply out. Without a doubt, this is a 100% kick-ass product. Until next time, take care. I'm looking at the 1200 watt model. What model? 1200 watt model? I cannot say it. STNNN Udna Wouldn't STNC fan control, yeah. This power supply is amazing. I love this power supply for many reasons, many reasons, you know what I'm saying? If you're in the market for a high wattage, reliable, very, very efficient, very